Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Your Excellency, Ambassador Bankole Adeyi, Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, representing the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Honorable Dr. Solomon Ayele Darso, Chairperson of the African Commission. I would wish to request to stand on existing protocols to be able to at least highlight some of the messages that I have been asked to deliver. All protocols respectfully observed. On behalf of my colleagues of the Forum on the Participation of NGOs in the 68th Ordinary Session of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, it is indeed an honor and a privilege as the spokesperson to deliver this statement on this auspicious occasion. Allow me at the onset to acknowledge and thank the Honorable Chairperson, Dr. Derso, and members of the African Commission for affording us yet another opportunity to make a statement. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in the continuing predicament brought on by the pandemic, COVID-19, the Forum on the Participation of NGOs in the 68th Ordinary Session of the African Commission was held virtually once more and was organized and facilitated by the African Center, Secretariat of the Forum of NGOs, in collaboration with the Commission from the 12th and 13th of April. The deliberations this time round were conducted with simultaneous interpretation in Arabic, English, French, and for the second time in Portuguese. The forum was officially opened by Mr. Guy Cyril Tapoko, Director of Governance and Democracy at the African Union on behalf of His Excellency Ambassador Bankole Adeyi, Commissioner for Political Affairs of the African Union Commission. The opening ceremony was also addressed by Honorable Solomon Ayele Derso and Bakary Shafi at the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, as well as Mr. Marcel Akpovo from the same office. Once more, the forum was guided by the draft agenda of the Commission, and in a bid to contribute to the discussion and subsequent implementation of the AU 2021 theme, Arts, Culture, and Heritage Leverages for Building the Africa We Want. With the pandemic still a nightmare, COVID-19 and its impact of vulnerable groups was kept on the agenda with a view to developing post-COVID strategies for a more meaningful engagement and participation of civil society and other stakeholders. We will endeavor to share the full report, which has one country resolution on Benin, one thematic resolution on the death penalty, as well as 7 thematic recommendations. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I crave your indulgence to highlight just a few of the issues that were raised. As eloquently posited by Chairman Derso, a post-COVID era is not yet on the horizon, considering that increasing numbers of infections and the efforts being made to manage the pandemic is still daunting. Lockdowns persist in many countries, with many commercial flights halted to alleviate the tedious challenges associated with tracing and limiting the spread of the coronavirus. The world is a different place in April 2021. The impact made by COVID-19 pandemic in its second wave has been devastating, with direct loss of life and burden of sickness stretching the weak health systems to its limit, with severe economic crisis coupled with collapsing international trade. Moreover, the anti-human rights and democratic forces have continued to take advantage of the crisis to further assert and situate their authoritarian regimes as leaders more capable of protecting public health and, of course, their citizens. On the theme of arts, culture, and heritage for the realization of human rights, Honorable Derso emphasized that culture and heritage are synonymous with identity. Africa, as a unique continent with a rich cultural heritage, stands tall in this regard. Arts, culture, and heritage are the foundation for development and developed society and are critical in the building and maintenance of democracy. The linkage and interdependence, yet distinct relationship, cannot be overemphasized, considering that they are mutually reinforcing for the attainment of development, human rights, and peace. There are legal frameworks to protect these rights as enshrined in the Cultural Charter for Africa, the Charter for African Cultural Renaissance, and specifically Article 27 of the Universal Declaration on Human Rights, Article 19 of the Maputo Protocol, and Article 7 of the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. The UNESCO Declaration on Cultural Diversity, adopted, has also indicated and in its preamble reaffirmed that the diffusion of culture and the education of humanity for justice and liberty are indispensable to the dignity of man and constitute a sacred duty which all nations must fulfill in a spirit of mutual assistance and concern. Moreover, the declaration posits that the globalization process facilitated by rapid development of new information and communication technologies though representing a challenge for cultural diversity as creating the conditions for reviewed dialogue among cultures and civilization. In reviewing the situation of human rights and democracy on the continent, the forum took note of reports of the ongoing challenges to the enjoyment of human rights in many countries on the continent, especially at this time of COVID, and as well as the impact on its implementation. From all parts of the continent, human rights violations have remained a major cause for concern in most countries, especially the freedom of assembly and association, which has also created a lot of restrictions, internet restrictions, criminalization of bloggers, continue to hinder the independence and freedom of journalists and like-minded groups. The forum asserted that a lot needs to be done as many African countries continue to face insecurity, violence, terror attacks, and the violations continues aggravated by the restrictions. But we see disease, unemployment rise, arbitrary detentions, and extrajudicial killings, leading to the escalation of violence in some of our countries. Mali is one good example of such countries. With the emphasis on those countries whose state reports will be considered at this session, namely Benin, Malawi, and Niger, the forum congratulates these three countries, and we therefore call on the African Commission to continue to encourage those countries with outstanding reports to diligently meet their reporting obligations. The session also on the status of implementation of the African Commission Decision 276 of 03 a landmark decision of the African Commission concerning the indigenous peoples of Kenya, the NGOs, it is to be noted that only one out of all the recommendations made was implemented. As a cultural group whose land has been taken away, no replacement was made, no compensation, no royalties, no effective benefit sharing supportive of the NGOs was designed, among others. Although a task force was set up, not much was achieved before the term of the force elapsed. Lack of political will was cited, which has further eroded their rights, decreased their livelihoods, negatively impacting on their participation in policy decision-making, and led to non-safeguard of their communities. During this year of art, culture, and heritage, we believe that the Commission needs to urge the government of Kenya and other countries that do have indigenous peoples to develop an inventory of indigenous peoples and work towards protecting these vulnerable groups. In addition, a benefit sharing legislation for communities should be passed to strengthen the protection mechanism of indigenous people and to ensure their inclusion in these processes. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me on behalf of the forum to express our shock and sadness on the passing of 4 personalities who have in various ways contributed to the work of the African Commission over the years. As has been mentioned by the chair of the occasion, they are the recently elected Commissioner Ndame Gueye from Senegal, Professor Christophe Heinz from South Africa, as well as Mr. Aljuma Sissoko of the Mauritanian Association of Refugees in Senegal, and Mr. Innocent Chukuma, founder of Clean and Ford Foundation Regional Officer. As we extend our sincere condolences to the African Commission through the Honorable Chairperson and to their families of the deceased, we pray for the repose of their peaceful repose of their souls. Your Excellencies, Honorable Chairperson and members of the Commission, distinguished guests, on behalf of the participants of the forum, on the participation of NGOs in the work of the 68th Ordinary Session of the Commission, we look forward to closer collaboration, and we wish you, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Vice Chairperson, and all the commissioners of this august body, best wishes for a fruitful session. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Madam Forster, for your statement, for its reflections, and for the continued support of the forum to the Commission's work and the advancement of the promotion and protection of human rights on the African continent. I would now like to invite the Vice President of the Network of African National Human Rights Institutions and Chairperson of the Human Rights Commission of Zimbabwe, Dr. Elasto Hilarious Mugwadi, to deliver his statement. Dr. Mugwadi, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. Your Excellencies, allow me to associate myself with the protocols that have already been observed by distinguished speakers before me.
Excuse me, Dr. Mugwadi, just to disturb you slightly, if you could just adjust your camera. It's slightly not aligned so that we can see you. We can't see you too well. We see just the top of your head.